Okay, so I'm going to talk you through a few things in order to download the data from the Dutch key registers. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to tell you about how I do stuff, and it might help you out. But as we said earlier, if you have questions regarding that, just let me know by either just interrupting me through the microphone or using the chat channel or raise hand or whatever is common in this. So let's have a look. Let me share my screen again. All right. Um, so if I want to use some of the, oh, wait, sorry, wrong. Most of the time, whenever I want to download a part of the BGT data, I just Google BGT download, because for some reason I am unable to remember the actual website names for those kind of things, and I'm lazy as hell. And that is a good trait. If you work in geoinformation, being lazy is really important, because that means that you want to do a lot of stuff automatically and not do it manually. So in that, for those purposes, being lazy is good. Doesn't mean I'm doing nothing, but I try to let the computer work for me as much as I can. So here you can see through this link you can download BGT. Well, let's download some of it. Yeah, sure, download viewer. And here we have, for example, our project area. Now, if we want to download a part of this data set for the project area, what I normally do is that I just I click a bit around the area that I'm interested in. For example, this area. And this is my selected area. Now, in this download site, you always get tiles of a square kilometer. So you never get exactly this. You probably get something like this, because this is probably 4 tiles or something like that. Now, how do you download this one? Well, here you can see we have this specific area, this selection, and you can change the format. Well, that's interesting, but just use the default CityGML. That is, in the Netherlands, we've decided that we always download and use everything from our key registers through GML, or actually through XML. And GML is one of the extensions of the XML, which is Extensible Markup Language. So this is geography markup language, and the CityGML means that you can add other values to that as well. For example, a 3D option is there in the CityGML. In this case, the model, it is an option, and the model gives room for 3D, but the way we do it is different than actual 3D construction. And then the thing is, what do you want to download? And you can download the whole thing, but let's not do that for now, because here you see the way the database for this data set is being set up, and there's all kind of variables in here. And here you have to know, I mean, being lazy doesn't mean you don't have to know anything, but it means you can check just the things that you need. For example, this is the green area. Let's have that one there. And if we go down, there's all kind of things I don't want. This is also part of the terrain with plants on it, plant cover, that's called, I think, in the English terms. And this is cover, but not covered by plants, but it's also terrain. And then, for example, we could add buildings to it. And I'm looking for roads and water as well. So we have water, and here we have roads. And this is, by the way, this is in this registration, this is called waterdeel en wegdeel. That means part of water or part of road. And that is because this is on a large scale. This is mapped in large scale. That means that if you look at a road, you don't see the whole road, but you see parts of the road in detail. So let's have only those, I think it was 5 things, and no, let's make the download. So it's now building up the data and it's preparing my download. And well, there it is. It's being prepared and download. Right. Let's see. Yep. And this one is always called extract. And as you can see, I've got a few extracts as well.
Sorry, could you please go through the layers you selected again, because I had to translate from English to Dutch to understand.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, sure.
So it is pond. The second one, the begroonde terrain deal.
Yeah, we have. I could show you the which might be
the output.
Oh yeah, the output is easiest, of course. Then you can see it.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's where do I have that now? That is behind my Zoom again. Oh, come on. There it is. Extract 7. These are the ones.
Seconds.
So
the begroonde terrain
means terrain.
Okay, this one I have.
Begroeid is with plants. Onbegroeid is no plant.
Okay, then I had the wrong road and.
Yeah. Weg, water, pand.
Waterdeel and wegdeel. Okay, thank you.
Yep. Yes, no problem. Okay, so we got these 5. Let's drop these just here on my desktop for now. You always get zip data, and you never need zip data. You always want unzip data. Now, for example, if we add one of those GMLs to our QGIS project, it will just open it in QGIS. But we're looking at the water parts here, and GML it's a bit of a hit and miss, and in this case, everything comes out right. And that is, we're lucky because water is a very simple object type, but in a lot of cases it's not so good. Now I've been talking about filtering the data as well, and let's have a look what I meant by filtering. For example, here we have water, so I'll make that a light blue. And well, this looks like okay, this is water and this is light blue, but there are some of these parts. For example, the canal here, if I identify one of those features, hey, there's 6 features here. And there's, oh, you could have seen here, there's a little change here. Some of these have, and some of these have not that extra part there. So that's interesting to know what happens here. So if I identify all of them, and I could do show the attribute table with all of them with only these 6 items, that is easiest to compare them with. You can see that there's a few that have, well, 5 out of 6 have their end registration filled in. So that means that things have changed in the last 3 years in this registration. And this is the current one because this one has no end of validity at this point, no end registration. Now, if you're looking at the data, there's another way of doing that. I mean, I'm now just clicking on one because I know that some things have changed here, but not everything has changed. So it might be that if you just pick one, you could have a wrong example, and you think you've picked 2 or 3, and they're all single, so they're fine. Now, there's another thing you can do in the visualization, and that is in the layer rendering, you could use a blending mode for every feature, separate feature. Now, normal means that everything that's on top just covers everything and you can't see through it. But if you use the multiply feature, you combine the different colors that are stacked on top of each other. So in this case, you can see this is I could almost call this a density map of how many objects are in one place. So here you have 6, it's pretty dark, but this area here is even darker. So these have more than 6. This one is very light. Yep, it's just 1, comes up immediately. So we have to filter this out because as you can see, there's quite a few water objects in this that have probably statuses that are, well, not valid anymore. So there's a few ways of filtering your data. And so now we're doing in practice what we've discussed in the first hour about we need to filter this. The formal way, the way that you can always use is that you go to the attributes of this data set by right-clicking and I double-click it, but the original way is going right-click and use properties, and you see all the attributes or all the properties of this data set. And in the source tab, there is something here. It's neatly tucked away in the bottom right corner called Query Builder. And here you can build a query. So you could say the end registration, and you could just add is null. Here it really comes in handy if you know your SQL statements, because this is all SQL, and this is the where clause of a SQL statement. So this defines now that I'm filtering on the source, so I'm only asking the data set to show me the actual stuff that has no end registration, so the currently valid object. I didn't change anything in my styling, so that means that in this case, you can see still there's no two objects on top of each other anymore. There's no stacking of objects. It looks a bit darker here, but if I zoom in, no, it's just a outline of the that has been drawn together, and thereby it looks a bit darker, but it is not. Okay, so this is one of the things that we can do with filtering and data. At this point, this is still a GML data set that I'm looking at. And that means, for example, that if I want to edit something, GML is not a usable data type as such. It is a viewable data type, but you cannot directly edit it. And I can show you that if I add my digitizing toolbar here as well. So that's this one. You can see that all the buttons are grayed out. So I cannot even start editing, because even the start editing is grayed out. So I'm not able to edit this one. If you have large data set, GML and any XML for that purpose is a kind of a verbose format. So it takes up a really large volume on your disk as well. So let's change this one into a proper geo package. So what we can do is we can export features, and I don't have to make a selection because I'm not looking at all the ones that are invalid. I'm just looking at the ones that I've selected now. I've filtered out. As you can see, there's still this filter sign here, and now I can make my own geo package. And this is one thing that Stefan has also showed you in the videos. But there's in the videos that he's been extracting data from a BGT. He's done that by using the file name and the layer name as giving them the same name. And what I'd like to show you is that a geo package is actually a database. So you can build your own database and you give your database a name. And that is, for example, in this case, if I drop that here, it is a project name. For example, this is the TU Delft campus area data. I normally give my names as clear as possible. You would not say that if you look at my directories, but this is, in this case, TU Delft campus area data. That means that I know that everything I've got to do with this area, I just stuff it into this database. Now you see that as a layer name, this also comes up with exactly the same name as your file name. And in this case, I'm interested in giving this the actual name for the water parts. And I don't even want to know it's a water part. I just want to tell them it's water, because that is the thing I'm interested in. I could also add here, or not export to this data set, some of the fields that I'm not interested in. I could just, tick them off. I'm not doing that at this moment, but in this situation here, you can choose which fields you're interested in and which ones you're not interested in. I leave all the rest to automatic. And there's one thing that you always need to check, and that is your coordinate reference system, your CRS. In the Netherlands, let's say 95% of all the data we do in the Netherlands is in the Dutch coordinate system. That is the EPSG 28992. But if you're doing things in an international context, you have to look for that as well to see which coordinate system are you working in at that point. This is also the place where you can change your coordinate system. So if you have, for example, a GPS data set, which is in World Geodetic System WGS 84, you can, if you pick the Dutch system here, that means that you transform all the coordinates to the right X and Y values for this specific coordinate system. So these are the most important settings. Here's the extras, and here's the other stuff that you probably won't need now. And there's this tick box here for add save file to map. So if I save this one, it also adds it to the map. Now I can just delete this one because it's no longer needed. Now this looks like a bit of a, and here you can see, by the way, it has the database name and then the layer name combined to that. And just like Stefan did in his videos, you could also change that name, of course. You can rename that one, for example, say this is just water, nothing else. If you do this a second time, oh, wrong one, this one. I just hide this one. Oh, never mind. If you do this for buildings as well, you probably get something else, and roads. Now let's do infrastructure here, roads. I'll just do a second option. So here now all the roads come in. We do something similar. We filter this one, and I'll show you that the second way of doing a filter is by just clicking filter immediately here. You come to the same situation. And we do the same thing, that is that end registration is null. Okay, got that. And we'll save this data as well to the same data set. So what I'm doing now is that I'm going to that same data set again, which is the TU Delft campus area data. And I'll just give this one the name for roads, wegen. I'll leave the rest as it is. Okay. So now we have these two data sets in the same geo package. This way you can build up your geo package. I'll throw this one away again. I like to clean my my layer, my project as much as possible. So if I don't use any something anymore, I'll just clean it and throw stuff away. Let's make this one blue, by the way. There it is. So let's make the water blue again. And roads are not really green, are they? Let's make this into a nice brown or something, dark brown. Okay, so now we have the two data sets, and they are combined into one geo package. So this geo package is now at this point, it's starting to become my project geodatabase. So I have one geo package, and everything I need is going to be for my project is going to be in that geo package. If we work that way, we can organize our project in a very nice way. The nice thing of a geo package, by the way, is that you could also, if you save your project, You can save your project, or you can save it as a certain project name, but you could also save it to a geo package. So in the geo package, in the database, you could also add your project to that. So in this case, it's not in my connections yet. So I have to build this one here, make that the TU Delft campus area again. And I'll just call this one campus. And now my project is saved to the geo package as well. So within the geo package, I've got everything. I've got the project, and the project includes, for example, the colors that I've used. It's got the data for those 2 layers and everything. And this geo package is just a one file thing. So I can share that with others, disseminate it in any way, and you'll have the project and the data and everything combined together. So as a workflow, if you work on your own on a project, you can mess up the data any way you like. But if you share your project with others, this might be a very nice way of doing stuff. So this is how it could work. Now there's also another thing I could do, and that is that we also have a plugin for the BGT, because it's pretty hard work. And now I'm looking at all the roads, but these roads, if I look to the attribute table, and I look at the different, let's see here, the functions of the road. You can see this is a local road, but this is a bicycle path, a footpath, local road again. There's parking areas. So there's a lot of different functions for roads, and there's also surface material that is different for some roads than other roads. So there's also visualization prepared especially for the BGT. And this visualization, if you use that, and if you want to do that all manually, it's like a hell of a job every time you use that. So we're using the import plugin for that, the BGT import plugin. Now, if you have downloaded your zip, don't use this option. Download it yourself, because this will go to an old download site. Download it yourself and import your zip data. That means that if I connect to the zipped, that is in my downloads folder, I guess here, the extract 7, that's the one we just did. Let's open this one and save imported files to. Well, we'll have to point at a certain geo package again. So I'll just go to my desktop, and I'll put a BGT campus geo package on my desktop. So I'm going to extract this data, put it here, let's go. And it will now start unpacking, unzipping the whole thing, unpacking it, make it into a nice layered geo package, etc. And it's working on that. And I'm saying into a nice, but as you will probably see, the visualization, that is the formal one, has extremely ugly red buildings. So you'll see the buildings popping up in like terrible red things. There they come. Hey, there we are. So this is the simple way of doing stuff, just using a plugin that everything that I did before, filtering out the stuff, changing the color, etc. This is the formal one, and it's all done in a plugin. So being lazy means, in this case, looking, is there a plugin for this specific type of data, because this is a terrible data set? Well, yes, there is. Here we go. Now this one works out much better this way. Simpler. This is all now in a geo package. The geo package has the layers as well. As you can see, there's 3 different setups for buildings. And this means that if you zoom in more than 1 in 1,000, it's now 1 in 6,000, so we're now here. But if you zoom in more, you get one of those different. And they're slightly different in that the outline of the building is a bit different. Otherwise, they're similar. But if I change one of these, for example, I change this one, and I'll just make this one into a different color. Oops, that way. Did I get it? Oh, that was the, yeah, that's that one. So now it changes color, and then it changes back again if I zoom in more than 1,000. So you can see this is skill dependent as well. So you have the skill dependency here for this one. You have color dependency, and there's also, if you zoom out too much, probably they just disappear. No, they don't in this case. This is nice. Yep. See if there's any questions. Oh, no questions yet. Good.
Yes, I have one. Sorry, I missed the part where you use the plugin, or how you use the plugin.
Okay. Let me start by something that I didn't do before. There's the plugin manager.
Yeah, no, of course, I did install it, but I missed the part of the interface.
It's this
but
one. BGT import. Okay. So there's and the BGT import comes just up with this little button here. If you got this one, you can do a complete package. What you downloaded, but it by default it comes to this option. Don't pick that option. Pick the one that you import the zip data that you've already downloaded, and just point it to the zip file. So don't unzip it or something. Just point it to the zip file. Everything is there, and you have to, of course, say where you want to save it to. So it will come to probably a new geo package. And
okay, thank you.
This might be interesting to make this into a new geo package, because this is a pretty large geo package already, and probably you don't mess up your base data, your base topographic data with your project data anyway. So normally the BGT I put in a separate geo package. Oops, I did it again. I pressed OK again, I guess. Yeah, got it twice now. Second time is a bit faster. Now, as you can see here, if I make a bit smaller, you see this one only has the parts that I've actually downloaded. So this plugin is pretty smart in that it is only doing the things that are actually in the package. There are some other options for using the BGT. For example, if I would add another one, I think I can add that using. Let me see if I can show that to you as well. This one, yeah. Did I put a? No, this is for something else. Never mind. This one works pretty well. By the way, if you look at the buildings here, you can see that in this case, the Bastiaansplein is a square. It's a footpath area. I know that because of the color, and I know this kind of here you see is a foot. It's probably this one. Oh yeah, and for some reason this messes up a bit here, as it doesn't refresh automatically. That is weird, because everything always automatically refreshes. This one doesn't. It's interesting, but I don't know why this happens. I've seen that before, but this is the one that if you use the Bach data, you'll see this is one huge building, because the parking area underneath it is also included in the Bach. Right. So in this case, I'm actually surprised that this is a building, because I work a lot at the GeoFort, and you've got covered buildings there. Let me see if I can show you that by using the Google Maps thing again. Here we are. But there's all kinds of buildings here. But for example, here, this is a large building that is all covered by grass. So that means that if you look at the Bach data, you'll see a building here, because it's an underground building. But if you look at the BGT data, you'll see this is a plant cover, because on ground level, this is just a nice field with grass. Oh yeah, I see a notification because I have 2 layers. Yeah, it might be that this one is not automatically because I have 2 layers. Oh, that could be. Yeah, I've got this one on as well. Oh, excellent thinking. Thank you. Huh. Let me see, where am I? Here. Let's see. But here we have this one again. And that is, yeah. Okay, thank you, Ovia. Indeed, it didn't automatically. I'll just kick one group out. Right, just one group is enough. If we're looking at this again, because interesting enough, if I look at this area here, it doesn't automatically refresh. But if I switch this one, no, the group off and on again, it probably did. No, it didn't again. Ah, this is terrible. I'm messing up this. And now it does. Oh, it's this one. It's a footpath. It's not a it's not an area, but it's just a footpath. I just clicked the wrong one. Now it automatically updates again every time. Okay, thank you. But sometimes if you use this and you want to switch it off and it doesn't automatically update like it does now again, just use the group layer to switch it off and on again. In this case, probably this one is rule-based with a different scale, because it's now still not doing that. And this has a 1 in 5,000 minimum scale, and we're at 1 in 6,000 now. So yeah, there it comes again. This is a complex data set, and as you can see, I'm sometimes confused as well with this. Okay, so this is about a couple of things. Organizing your geopackages. If you use a geopackage for one layer, you can have the geopackage name and the layer name as the same name. That's fine. But if you want to organize your data, pick one generic name for your geopackage, for example, your project name, and just add all your data to that and give them logical layer names. That might help. Another thing that I'd like to show you on the data part is, for example, we have what Stefan showed you is extract by a location. And there's an interesting part. For example, if you have all this data, but you're just interested in a smaller area, you could extract that data as well. And there's a few options to do that. One thing is you need your project area. So let's assume that we have a small project area here, and we just want to have the data for that area. In that case, you probably have a contour of your area as well. So I'm just going to fake a contour now by making a new temporary scratch layer. This is your contour. It could be anything. Normally you have it somewhere in your geopackage with your project data, of course, but in this case, it's just a temporary layer. So it's temporary scratch layer. And what do I have here? A geometry type is polygon, because it's going to be a polygon. I have no other intention of doing something with it, so I'll just leave it here. So this is my contour. As you can see, it is automatically, because it's a scratch layer, it's automatically put on editable. I'll just add a polygon, and I'll say this is my, I'm interested in the architecture building and some of it around it. So this is my project area. Put that on top, not in the group layer, not in the group layer, I said, come on. Okay, let's do it the other way around. Doesn't work like I wanted to. Let's do it differently. So this is my contour now. I'll stop, sorry, I'll stop editing that. Yeah, save the data. This one I did by chance. So I have my contour here now. Same thing, by the way, what I did before, what I tend to do if I'm looking at something and it's covering my whole area, there's a few things you can do. One of the things is you can change the fill style, for example, to no brush, but then you hardly see the outline again. You can make that red, of course, and a bit thicker and everything. Yeah, that's fine. But another thing you could do is put the layer rendering, the blending mode again to multiply, and you can see this is the area. So it lightens the area a bit in different way. Okay, so we have this, and we're interested in, for example, the buildings in this area. Now, as you can see here, my contour is cutting through this building, and you might be interested in the buildings that are actually fully within this contour. So this one should be in, but this one shouldn't be because it's partly outside. You could say, well, everything that's being just touched by the border should be included as well. So we have this one in and this one in, but not this one because it's not touching here. Or you could say, well, I'm just interested in exactly this contour. So just cut off everything that I need and just clip it there. Well, as I said, clip it. That means, so if I clip data set and everything here is within the toolbox. So I'll switch on the toolbox. I switched it off. I normally have them on my right again. Processing toolbox, that's the one we're looking for. And here, for example, you see the clip features. Clip is pretty simple. It's what we call the cookie cutter. For example, in this case, I want the buildings and I want to clip them with the contour, and I'll just make a temporary layer out of that. Of course, I can now also point to my geo package again and say, okay, I want it in this specific name, but for now, I'll just make a temporary layer. So if I look at the clipped data now, that's the purple one here, you can see it has clipped off exactly everything. So there's the building that used to be this building, it's now just cut off there at the edges of the contour. That is one way of doing things. So if I switch off the buildings, you can see this is it. Now all the attributes of this building are still in place. All the attributes are still in place. So for example, if you have a floor space here as well, square meters for the floor space, it would still be the original number because nobody told the computer to do anything about that number. So you always have to be careful if you clip stuff. Another thing is you can use the extract feature tool, and you could do that in different ways, but extract by location is the most likely one. So if we switch on the buildings again and we do extract by location, we could do the.
Could I add something? I had the experience in some way with the BGT that sometimes the extract by selection works better. That's also an option. So
that is a very good option. The extract by selection is more like if you select one or a number. Sorry, I should be in this one. A number of buildings. Come on, select. What's wrong here? Hold on. Select. Why is this not selecting? Interesting. Maybe it has to do something with my Zoom being here at the same time. No, it's just not. Normally it lights up yellow if you've selected something.
I give it a try because maybe it's the BGT.
No, I've got them selected. They just don't light up. Interesting. Let's take this one out of the group layer again. Let's see if that helps. No, that is so weird. I think. Oh, look, there they are. Maybe I've switched off all the selected layers now. Yeah, I think there's something with the refresh going on in my computer. Because every time I refresh, it works. But if I don't refresh, now I've deselected everything, it doesn't work. But if I refresh by changing, Interesting. I have to set it up. Sorry about that. But yeah, you could do the, if you have selected your buildings already, for example, by doing this, and you've selected these ones, you can just save them now using extract, or you could extract by expression. Yeah, there's quite a few options. In this case, we're, let's deselect everything again. In this case, we're looking for the buildings, deselect, yeah. We're looking for the extract by location, looking in this case by buildings that have something to do with the contour. And then in this case, we're looking at the different options here, and intersect here means that everything that touches is within the boundary is all being selected and used. If what Stefan showed in the video, if you're using are within, that means that you only have the things that are completely within the contour. And if you use this joint, by the way, you get everything that is not in the contour. That is the exact opposite of intersect. So if you use the intersect option in this case, and you make that into a temporary layer as well, see what that one does. Put this one on top. You can see that they have every building that is partly or completely within the contour. Now those are the different options. With buildings, you probably will want to have a complete building either in your selection or not in your selection. With roads and rivers, you might want to clip them, because if you, as you can see here, for example, this canal here, the Schie, it runs far away because this is one object. So this one here, it runs from here to there, and you probably want to just cut it off here somewhere. So in the case of infrastructure, you're probably more, yeah, it might be more better suited to use a clip, and with buildings, you probably extract by select or by location or whatever. Okay, so those are the things that I wanted to show you to give some extra insight in the differences here. But if you look at, if you want to make different selections for your extraction, you can do that as well. For example, and this might be an interesting one. Let's see. Yeah, just one extra just to get you thinking on this. For example, if you want to have just a larger buildings or just a smaller buildings, you could do something with the geometry parameters as well. For example, if you want only the buildings that have a footprint of over, let's say, 200 square meters, we could do that as well by using an extract by expression. In this case, what you could do is you could make your expression here. So we're going for the buildings again, pond. There we are. And we're going to make an expression here. And the expression here could be anything with a value or something, but there's this little expression button as well. And there are so many things you can do here. For example, if you look at the area, and everything that has to do with geometry starts with this string, this dollar thing. And you can see, for example, you have area here, and the dollar area, it's being explained here, it returns the area of the current feature. So for every building, you're looking at the area of that building, and it's calculated on the ellipsoid settings, blah, etc. So you just use area and you get a number back. Okay, so let's do area is larger than 200. It is square meters because this data set is in the Dutch coordinate system, and the Dutch coordinate system is everything is in meters and square meters, etc. So this should give me all the buildings, because I'm selecting from buildings that have a floor space of over a footprint of over 200 square meters. So let's have a look. Buildings with this expression. Create a temporary layer, looks good, and open after running. Yep, run. So let's see what they come up with. And we have here the matching features. Let's put them on top. So these are all the buildings that are, let's make them, these are all the buildings that have a footprint of over 200 square meters. And you can see there's all the houses here that are smaller, with the larger apartment buildings and the blocks and the faculty buildings. They're all over 200 square meters. So you could make different selections to extract the data that you're actually interested in. I hope this helps. Let's do another break. And I'll see you back at, it's now 10:35. Well, let's be back at 10:50 again. And again, put your questions in the chat if you have, or ask me if we're back. See you soon.